views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Coming up on this new season of Perspectives, we're in the final stretch of the presidential election. Our political analysts will join us in studio to evaluate the race and what can we expect from the candidates as the parties draw closer to November. Plus, a big shakeup for the NYPD and what it could mean for New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. We'll tell you more on this edition of Perspectives with yours truly, Darren Hyman.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective, which shines a light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let 'em know.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Darren Hyman. We thank you for watching. Not only do we thank you for watching, we invite you to share your perspective. You can check us out on Facebook at BronxNet Perspectives, Twitter. You can reach us out there as well. And then also you can hit me up on my personal, which is Darren C. Hyman. And then you can let us know what you think about the show, share about some past episodes, and let us know what you want to see. And possibly in this new season, guess what? You just might see it. But coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we go front and center with the breaking news out of New York City. New York City Police Commissioner William Bratton has resigned and causing a lot of questions about what's the future of the NYPD is. We know that there's an interim commissioner that's been named, but now questions are circulating as to what happens for Mayor de Blasio, as Commissioner Bratton was considered to be one of the main cogs in the Mayor de Blasio's cabinet. So we're talking with two of our political commentators who are here in studio, no strangers to us here. Joyce Johnson is here, who spent some time. She actually ran for public office. Where'd you run for?
Council, Congress twice, and council again.
So I wanted you to get
I'm
all
not
that
over. I'm not over. It's
and,
not
and,
over.
and it's not over yet, right? And then also we have here the
Five-time
former
charm.
head of the Board of Elections, also our political commentator and professor, adjunct at Borough Manhattan Community College down in the city. We welcome J.C. Polanco here with us. Did I forget anything else?
No, man, I love being here. Thanks for having me. I
Good to
appreciate
have
it.
you here.
Pleasure
Good to
being
have
here
you
with
here.
you.
And of course to have Joyce as well. So listen, we're going front and center about this issue. New York City Mayor, Bill de Blasio, is really up under some heat right now with the resignation of Police Commissioner William Bratton. First of all, Commissioner Bratton's resignation, political, necessary, unnecessary? Your thought?
I think he's probably been sought after for a long time. Something tells me, and so at any point in time in the last year, he could have gone away private sector. I think there's something behind the scenes is that I don't think he probably felt the mayor was as supportive of him as he wanted him to be. I think the mayor and the commissioner had opposite views on Black Lives Matter. The commissioner was absolutely against it. He did not see in this minority town the community side one way or another, and there's that balance in politics, and I don't think he played that politics well. I think you can see both sides to the greater good, because after all, the community is what I think more people on the community side thought that he was absolutely against the community, and he wasn't able to, I think, walk a chalk line. I support the police absolutely 100%, but I certainly do understand Black Lives Matter, and he has taken in recent times a little bit more edgy approach to saying very, very negative things about the movement in general.
Jesse, do you feel as though this will hurt the mayor, given the fact that, he's up for re-election soon? Will this be something that people look at, or will this be a positive sign for him?
I think the mayor's his worst enemy. I do. I think that there were a lot of politics behind the decision of the commissioner to resign. If you take a look at the fact, and this is where I'm a Republican, and I know that some of my Republican friends may be watching, but I support many of the causes of Black Lives Matter, and I'll say it. Having said that, I think that Commissioner Bratton did give in and did realize some things, maybe under political pressure, maybe because he was forced to. But I'll give you an example. When there was discussion on sub-question frisk, Commissioner Bratton acquiesced and agreed and said, you know what, this is a federal court decision, this is what we have to do, we're going to now reduce the numbers of people that we stop, question, and frisk. He was okay with that, and he was actually at the forefront of trying to train the NYPD in a different direction. Now, the problem exists when, as Ms. Johnson just mentioned, you know, he didn't get the support that he thought he was going to get from the mayor, considering that the city council is just so far left. The city council is so lopsided to the left where anything regarding criminal justice reform becomes anti-police. And what I mean is this. When you have police officers that are going to be regulated at the precinct level by a sergeant and a precinct commander, and then you have the internal affairs, and then you have the CCRB, and on top of that you have a commissioner, and on top of that now you can sue a police officer in private civil court. That makes that police officer's job that much harder. Now when you combine that with the fact that just a couple of days ago the mayor signed the law passed by the city council decriminalizing dozens of offenses that improved our quality of life against the wishes of Commissioner Bratton. He said, please don't decriminalize urinating in public. Please don't decriminalize drinking in public, because these are things that impact our quality of life. The mayor, as we just heard from Ms. Johnson, was not as supportive as Commissioner Bratton wanted. And then to add to that, all of the scandals that are coming down of senior officers doing terrible things with prostitutes and taking flights and taking money and giving people gun permits, this was the perfect time for him to leave and become a consultant for a very private, wealthy company with connections to Hillary Clinton. So congratulations, Commissioner Bratton. Good luck to you.
When you think about it, obviously, Mayor de Blasio was very big on bringing Bratton here.
Yes, he was.
And the fact that Bratton's departure has come so quickly, we know that there's interim Commissioner O'Neill, or I should say coming in Commissioner O'Neill. Do we have the same expectation, or are we talking about the same caliber person here?
Well, you know, I asked one of my neighbors, or several of my neighbors are former officers in the police department, and one long term. So I asked him, I said, you know, because I have no sense. I said, what's your sense amongst the brothers and sisters in the rank and file of the new commissioner? And they said he is someone who's come up. He has come up through the ranks. So I think in a large part, that seniority, someone who's come up very much through the ranks, have been through it and seen it. And I don't think that, frankly, that the Commissioner Bratton had the highest regard amongst his rank and file. There is something for that. You know, the person who comes in new in the job from outside, that person does not nearly have the same regard as someone who's come up through the ranks, knows the body politics. But I think it was a marriage between Bill de Blasio and Bill Bratton that just never worked. Because when he was first announced as the new police commissioner, from my side, the community was not generally in favor. There were a lot of folks said, anybody but Bratton, we don't want Bratton, although he had a history in LA, history in New York. They didn't want him.
You know, it's interesting. I grew up in the 80s and the early 90s, right here, not too far from here. Crime was awful growing up. It was really bad. And when Commissioner Bryant came in and with Giuliani, they started instituting something that right now is just one of the worst things you can say publicly: broken windows. The broken windows theory in practice. And many of us that study it and look back at what Commissioner Bryant was able to do, it pretty much revolutionized how we behaved and how we treated each other and reduced crime a great deal. But it also created some community police relation issues, as you well know. And that's one of the issues I think that your neighbors...
It's a hard balance,
It's a hard balance.
It's a hard balance.
But then when Commissioner Bryant came in, we saw him and I said, well, this is the guy who, you know, helped change, and he's probably alive. I'm probably alive today because some of the practices that he brought in. So I was a little excited to see what he could do. But there's a major disconnect with the liberal ideology of going against broken windows, stopping stop, question, and frisk, and with a guy who developed pretty much both of those programs. You're never gonna, as you mentioned, you're never gonna have that marriage. And I think that was, at the end of the day, one of the reasons why.
And I want to say this, and because I don't dispute. You know, I'm not as happy because I think when it is, I would call Wild Wild West, you're allowed to do anything. in the public spectrum, urinate and all of that. I do think that can take a turn back to where we were, and we don't want to go. And you know, the whole issue of stop, frisk, and during the height of guns but I think the real thing is there comes a tipping point of reasonableness. You know, everyone wants to be safe in community, and there are folks who are heck bent on being lawless and whatnot, and they should be punished, brought to justice, and all of that. The whole issue of stop and frisk, was that it became, because I heard this in a campaigning on the street, and happened to have in Harlem. We went up to a police officer. He was nervous as heck. And I just said, how are you doing? Because, I mean, I feel you can see some of them are out of, are nervous in their own communities, and that's not the way it should be. I'm also a proponent of maybe police being residents, so that you know the person on the street. Right. You've seen them in church and all of that, which also helps to bridge that, community, that relationship building. But this person told me, and in another instance, frankly, in a political campaign, said that they were under the gun for the numbers. So it became less public policy, public safety, but we need the numbers to validate this whole program to see how it's working. So that's always that fine balance. The reasonable person, if you want to talk my politics, probably middle. And so I understand, the public safety. I do not agree with the council and its move to public urination, because if there's that, then what else is there that brings back, not lawlessness, but not a good picture of community?
Let me let JC get the first word in the next segment. Got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about the NYPD, and then we'll talk national news, politics, of course, talking about the Republican and Democratic National Conventions coming to a close. What can we expect coming down the line as we make the way towards November? That's coming up right after this.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family?
This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort...
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything.
Oh, sorry. Go along, son!
It's always worth it.
Whoa!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Back here to continue our conversation, the news, of course, New York City Police Commissioner William Bratton announcing his resignation amidst some troubled times. Even here in the borough of the Bronx, Assembly Member Michael Blake has filed an excessive force complaint against the NYPD at an event that he was assisting, or I should say going to, but in the process a little melee broke out, and the Assembly member says excessive force was used against him by him getting thrown up against the gate. JC, when you heard the news of the Assembly member and what went on with police community relations there, Let me get your take, first of all.
You know, I know Assemblyman Michael Blake. I know he's been one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement and a civil rights leader in his own right. So when he came up with it, when he told us what happened, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it happened. I know there's an investigation going on, and I would hate to jump ahead of the gun and take a side. But you know, if things happen the way that the Assemblyman mentions, I'm sorry they did. I mean, it's embarrassing enough as it is to be put in that position. I hope there's a resolve somewhere. I hope they resolve this issue, and I hope things like this don't happen again. Maybe this is an opportunity for the community and the police to work together even better. And that community. I really. Yeah.
Because one of the things I think that comes out of that is, and what the Assembly member wants is greater communication, and not just greater communication, but a greater look at the different policies that have been affecting the community for so long. The use of excessive force, when is force employed, and are there other de-escalation exercises that could possibly prevent loss of life or extreme bodily injury? And this is something that the African American communities of color have long talked about for some time.
Because so no one knew that Michael Blake, well, this officer didn't know. But he said he put his hands on him. Now, if I put my hands on you, is a normal conduct anybody on the street? I do that all the time. Excuse me, sir, so-and-so, sir. No one grabs me and slams me up against a wall. And so it is that scale, and that the commissioner, the mayor said he apologized. The commissioner was unable to say, as some have in some other incidents around the country, while going middle line, this bears investigating. It is troubling. On the face of it, it is troubling. But I think, with the commissioner, maybe the final straw, and maybe this goes in our public policy in general, no one is able to say, perhaps I made a mistake. The word sorry, or I could have done it better. That is absent in our political discourse at the highest levels. Everyone can make a mistake, and it's not the worst thing in the world. But when you stand on your rightness, as the commissioner did, I thought he could have been a better man to say, this certainly does bear, looking into further, and it's under investigation. But this unilateral, I'm not going to apologize. That starts to create that once again. Now, Michael Blake is an average man, but he's also
pretty tall. He's a tall guy.
And an assembly member. But on the street, if he didn't have this little button like Yvette Clarke, she is stopped always in Congress. 10 years later, 5 terms, because no one knows that she's a congresswoman, and that kind of thing is an affront. So if they get those affronts, the average Joyce Johnson's on the street, my God, it worries me.
Yeah, a lot to continue to discuss. Of course, stay tuned to us here at Perspectives. We'll bring you the latest with that. Want to try to do a little segue in here. JC, I want to share with you a little bit about former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. And you talk about polar opposites. As I said during the break, you got the mayor now who says, de Blasio, who says, listen, we're decriminalizing, for lack of a better saying, public urination and public drinking. But then you had a mayor such as Bloomberg, who was very much instrumental in wanting to deal with the quality of life of New Yorkers. He appeared at the Democratic convention in support of Hillary Clinton, speaking vehemently against Donald Trump. What can we take from the Bloomberg endorsement of Hillary Clinton, given the fact that in some scales along New Yorkers' eyes, this was a person that, although independent, really towed a lot of the Republican line?
It's interesting. That Democratic convention was an amazing performance. It really was. It was, and I mentioned this before. When you look at the all-star cast from Bloomberg to Senator Warren to Vice President Biden, the only thing that competes with this is Hamilton on Broadway. I just didn't know who was the person they were talking about when Bloomberg and Warren and President Obama and Michelle Obama say that the person that we should support is wonderful, she's great, she's someone that our kids should emulate, she's someone that will protect our national security. I'm waiting for the surprise guest, because it can't be Hillary Clinton, right? So I'm looking at this, Darren, and I'm saying to myself, Michael Bloomberg is here. How genius. This election will be decided by about 15 million people. That's it. 15 million people that are mostly undecided and independent. People that feel that they are not to either party. People that feel like none of the parties speak to them. Here comes Michael Bloomberg, who's the embodiment of, hey, none of these parties speak to me. And this is why I think you should vote for Hillary Clinton. And what's even more interesting is he was the mayor of the place where Donald Trump is from, where all his buildings are. And he said, I don't care about the buildings. I don't care what he says. He's a fraud, and let me tell you why. I think it was genius by the DNC to do this. I think it spoke to the undecided voters, and it may very well have benefited Hillary tremendously.
I think he and Mr. Khan were stole the show and stole the show of that convention.
Absolutely.
But how much do you think that counters? Because we know in the Republican convention, Mayor Giuliani, former New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, spoke at the Republican National Convention. How much does the presence of a Michael Bloomberg, former mayor, counter that of former Mayor Giuliani?
Interesting point. For the Republicans, I think they probably stayed where they are. For our Democrats, it's like I was thrilled. But don't forget, Mike Bloomberg, before he ran as a Republican, he was a Democrat, a long time person as a Democrat. Then I think he became an independent, and then Republican, and then now independent. And so I think his run for mayor was that he realized that there was no way he could ever get through a Democratic primary. And so he did the end circle around his money and ran as Republican and won. But what I do know about Mike Bloomberg, and I do know him, he will tell it like it is. So that he told it like it is in the face of, and they have relationships. Be clear, Republicans and Democrats in the center, high up, they have relationships with one another. They are friends. Donald Trump, you see pictures with hugging Bill and Hillary and kumbaya. The only person not probably is Rudy Giuliani. He's just out there by himself. So the long story short, I think it was helpful to a lot of Republicans who are the Mike Bloombergs of the world. And I do believe he spoke the truth. He spoke about Donald Trump, and I believe everything he said. He had no skin in the game. He doesn't need the money, he doesn't need the notoriety, he doesn't need the TV space, because he could command it at any point. So I think his words were powerful.
Come back after the break. JC's going to have to answer this question for us. Since the Republican National Convention has closed and we're going forward to the future, what is the message that the Republicans need to send if they're going to win the White House? We'll talk about that in just a moment.
And
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Love is kind. Love is patient.
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing. I watch golf with him.
I watch him cook, because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
We have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
As we get into our final segment, J.C. Polanco, I want to just kick right into you. I asked you the question before the break, what do Republicans need to do, given the fact that this convention, by some were considered raucous. Some people thought it was less than substantive, and certainly, but to some, they found it to be very tangible. But there has to be a clear message the Republicans have to send if they want to win the White House, because right now, it seems as though, from numbers perspective, losing steam.
I think so. I think, we were doomed with Donald Trump as of June 16th of last year. And you can look at the tapes. You can go to BronxNet.com and see how I told you this. I mean, you have someone that is very divisive, someone who cultivates hate and anger, someone who, first words out of his mouth about an outreach or a coalition group with the Mexicans being rapists and murderers. You go down the list, and it was awful. I mean, the Mexicans got it, the Muslims got it, the women got it, African Americans got it, veterans got it, POWs got it. Everybody has received insults from this guy. He wins the nomination. Our leaders sell their souls to the devil and endorse him, and Paul Ryan and McConnell and Senator McCain and my guy, Senator Rubio, which I'm very, very upset about. And guess what? Just yesterday, Donald Trump said, "Thank you for your endorsement, but I'm not endorsing you and your
Exactly.
races." Can you imagine this? So
Slap
now
it.
we're in a position where to win the White House, I think is going to take a miracle. I think that we would need to get rid of Donald Trump somehow through a mechanism that exists to replace Donald Trump, to maybe have the best shot. But you have a party that's divided because of Donald Trump. See, Donald Trump divided this party. He's not a Republican. He doesn't represent me. He doesn't represent the Republican Party that I know, that I joined. I don't even know what he is. He's an isolationist who says bigoted things, who cultivates hate. This is not the Republican Party I joined. And I think that he's going to lose, and he's going to lose big, unless some miracle happens and he acts presidential, apologizes to everyone, and learns some things about the Constitution.
I'm happy he is a Republican in this race because we have a real shot at the White House. More importantly, for me, the consequences of the prospect of nominating Supreme Court justices who will then, for the course of 50, certainly outlive me, and for the course of 50 years, determine a path for America that I think it's a right path, and not one anywhere near what Donald Trump might want, and perhaps some Republicans. And I do believe you're right. Some of the best of you sold out, and now they're in the devil in the deep blue sea with no way out. I am happy, but overall, let me say, I'm not happy. I'm not happy of what this spectacle says to the rest of the world. At the end of the day, I'm an American. I'm a patriot. And so folks will look at me, and not if I go abroad, it's not Republican or Democrat. They probably ask those things because they really do now, given the parties. But it is embarrassing, the spectacle of Donald Trump and all that he says for the rest of us. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. And he's a slap in the face to all of that. The greatest country, not a great, again, it is already great. And I use that euphemism of take it back to the civil rights where, for me, make America great again, and who are his supporters. We're not going back to 1955 and Selma and Birmingham and all of that.
Gotta leave on that note. Been a full show, and Joyce and JC, thank you so much for coming and sharing your political views. And of course, we invite you to stay connected to Perspectives. You can see them and others as we get ready to get towards November. They'll be back to give us their take on what is going on in regards to the debates between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. We invite you to stay connected to us here at Perspectives. I'm Darren Jaime. For all of us here on the set, thanks for watching. Until the next time we meet, stay safe. Share your perspective with somebody else. It just might make a difference in someone else's life.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective, which shines a light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your